So in the earlier video, we have seen the Prasanga argument where the thinker is exposing the opponent's argument involving contradiction. So the method is to suggest that the opponent's argument involves contradiction and therefore it is not tenable. This method called Prasanga looks like a reductio ad absurdum argument where we exactly do the same exercise. We show the inconsistency of the premises in an argument by exposing a contradiction involved in them. But it is the purpose of formulating Prasanga argument which makes it different from reductio ad absurdum. So if we look at the etymological sense of Prasanga, the Sanskrit term Prasanga comes from the root sanj, which means to attach, to join, to connect, to adhere, to stick, etc. So etymologically, Prasanga means relational reasoning. Now, what is the purpose of this kind of reasoning? The purpose is to suggest that the arguments are dependent on the relational character of concepts, and that is pointed out by the etymology of Prasanga. And this shows that merely by considering concepts, we cannot understand the reality. So the whole purpose of producing Prasanga argument is to show the limitation of our conceptual understanding. That is why Nagarjuna and his followers do not present any position as their own position, conceptually formulated, precisely for the reason that concepts do not take us to the reality as such, which is the purpose of whole philosophy in Buddhism. So unless we understand the reality as such, we cannot get liberation, and the concepts do not lead us to that understanding of reality. So we have seen that an argument involves premises and conclusion, and if their relation is good, the arguments become convincing. If that relationship is weak, it becomes problematic. But we see that the Prasanga arguments are generally recognized as a negative kind of arguments, where the purpose is to refute the position of the opponents by showing the contradiction involved in them, and this way it is generally understood as a kind of negative argument which is called vitanda. But if we consider the purpose of this argument, it is not merely meant for the refutation of the opponents. In fact, it shows the conceptual, the limitation related to conceptual understanding. The vitanda is meant for merely refuting the others. That is the character of vitanda. So the Prasanga arguments cannot be called vitanda in that sense, because their purpose is not just to refute the others, but by way of showing contradiction involved in the other's position, or in fact in any position, the suggestion is that to show the limitation related to our conceptual understanding. Now let us come back to the three questions which students were supposed to answer by hearing by watching the video. So consider the first question: what is the usual order of the following segments of reasoning in classical Indian philosophy? So we have seen that an Indian thinker first reformulates the arguments of the opponents, that is called Purvapaksha, and then the thinker refutes, examines the argument of opponents, and that is called khandana. And after that examination, the thinker proposes his or her own position. So this order we see in the last option, that is D, Purvapaksha, Khandana and Siddhanta. So this is the correct option. If you have not been able to make it correct, so try to understand in this way. Let us see the second question. What is Vitanda? So just now I discussed what is Vitanda. So Vitanda is meant for the refutation, mere refutation of the other. So it is not having any other purpose but just to demolish the other's position. So consider all these options. Here you find in option C the practice of refutation only. So there is no other purpose in Vitanda. Only purpose of Vitanda is to refute others' position. And we have seen that Prasanga is not meant for the refutation only. It has some other purpose. So if you have been able to make it correct, good. Otherwise, you try to understand it in that way. Now consider the statement, that is, Nagarjuna uses the method of Prasanga to establish his own thesis, whether it is a true statement or false. So we have seen that Nagarjuna doesn't offer any position of his own. So the Siddhanta Paksha is missing, in fact, in the whole process of argumentation, and it intends to show that any position whatsoever involves contradiction. In fact, contradiction is inherent in the very way of understanding anything conceptually because of the relative character of concepts. So obviously, Nagarjuna doesn't use the method of Prasanga to establish his own thesis. He doesn't say that he has any position. Therefore, this statement is a false statement. So consider if you have been able to make it out, it is good. Otherwise, try to understand in this way. So after the discussion in the class and the consideration of that video, the students are supposed to answer the questions available in the quiz section. That will again enhance their understanding of the topic. This way we have planned this lecture. So in the end, I would like to acknowledge the contributions. The video which we have used is based on my article titled Prasanga as a kind of argument and as philosophical method, basically offered by Nagarjuna. And on the basis of this article, the UGC prepared a video. The video has the voice of Dr. Meenal Katarnikar, and this video is available at the website given here. You can see the name of the website, and if you go to this website and choose the module number 20 in Logic 2 paper, so you will get the video, and the link will be made available at Moodle site also, so you can go through that way. I would like to acknowledge the contribution of my colleague, Dr. Madhu Chaturvedi, who has been instrumental in making out this presentation, writing its script, etc. So I'm thankful for his contribution also. And the others contributions are recognized in the bibliography section of the article which I have written, and this article is also available on the UGC website, but for some reason the text is not available. So maybe after some time they will make it available on the website. So thank you all for giving a patience hearing. Thanks again.